Okay, last week we talked about organizational patterns. Will you all recall that? Tell me one of the organizational patterns we talked about. Chronological, where you go just one step at a time.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. What else?
Spatial
Spatial organization. What would spatial organization be good for?
It's like going from one physical place to another.
Very good.
Tour or something.
Good. Different geographical areas. What else? You said topical, where you just break a big topic into smaller topics. So we have chronological, spatial, cause and effect, topical. What are we missing? Problem solution, and one more. Kind of like chronological, but not past, present, and future. Good. So those are the chronological patterns we talked about. We also talked about ways to prioritize your points within those patterns. Who can tell me what the effect of primacy is? You remember that one? Elizabeth?
What's most important first?
Yeah, the idea that your audience will remember what they hear first, or so that you put your most important point first, and that's called the strongest point pattern. Then there's also the recency effect, which is what?
It's that they remember the last thing they hear.
Exactly.
So you build up to essence or to the speech and the most important point comes last.
Good, and that's called the progressive pattern. Then you also have the equality pattern, where you have equal weight on each one of your points. Okay? So we talked about that. You had a discussion forum a post to write about that, which I'm in the process of reading. So you got those down, and those will come in especially useful in the informative speech and in the persuasive speech. But today we're going to talk about audience analysis, which is tons of fun and is a big focus of the class. We talk about the audience a lot throughout the whole class. And I find it a little bit daunting because it's easy to be overwhelmed by all the things to take into consideration when you're thinking about an audience, because you have so many different personalities. But audience analysis is a way to look at your audience, find some commonalities, and find ways to adapt to your audience and to appeal to the audience. Okay? It's not to pander to them, but how to maximize what you know about them and how to best meet their needs when you speak to them. Okay? Obviously in here, your audience is me and the class. And when you speak with your process speech or any speech you give, I want you to speak as if you're speaking to the class as a whole, not just me. Okay? So you've got a group of peers. But as you go into the world and other speaking situations, you're going to find a lot of different types of audiences. And you need to kind of find a way to appeal to those. Okay? So there are two types of audience analysis. All right? One is demographic. The other is psychographic. I'll let you get your stuff together. When you hear the word demographic, what do you think of? Have you heard it before? Do you know what it means? Any hot ideas?
Demographic.
Mm-hmm.
I think of people divided up. I think of it more in a government sense, like people divided up in terms of a piece of information.
Okay, they're like a category they fit into.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very, very good, and that's very true. Demographics are things that are observable from the outside of a person. They are ways that you affiliate, ways you look, physical characteristics. All those things feed into demographics, but they're all things that you can see either by the way a person looks, where they live, with whom they associate, what they do. Okay? So, and you can, if you think about advertising is all about appealing to different demographics. And we're going to make use of that idea today. So can you give me an example of a demographic area?
Age.
Age, very good. How old a person is. What else?
Race.
Race. Race and ethnicity. Any others? Yeah. Gender. And that could be the gender you are, the gender you identify with as. Things are, you know, the world's changing, and so gender has a wide array of things that can fall under it. What else? These are great. What about what you do? What do people do Monday through Friday typically?
Occupation.
Their occupation. Any other ways you associate with other people? Not just those with whom you work. What else do you do in groups with people? Yeah,
Class, square, economics.
very good. Your socioeconomic class. And that can be not just how much money you have, but the class of people with whom you best associate or you most identify. Are you lower, middle class, upper middle class, upper class? And that impacts what kind of car you drive, what kind of real estate you have, if any, where you live. All of those factors, what your purchasing power is, what you can buy, that all factors into socioeconomic status or class. What else?
Education be one.
Yes, it would be. Your level of education. Are you a high school graduate? Is it a group of college graduates, people with graduate degrees? It's a doctor giving a talk to people who are nurses or doctors or have no medical background at all. That could impact how you relay the message. What else?
Your home.
What do you
Like where
say?
you live.
Absolutely. Geography. Where you are from or where you live. I mean, when we hear someone's from New York, we make certain assumptions about them. Or if people are from LA, or people are from the Midwest, or from Kansas City, or St. Louis, or people who are born and bred in Springfield. Everyone has those geographical identifiers that make them unique in some way, or that we kind of assume or they have certain characteristics that we might attribute to them. Good. What else? Is there any kind of group you might be affiliating with first Tuesday in November?
Political.
Very good. Political affiliation. What party are you in, if any? What are your political leanings? And we tend to understand that each party has a different kind of platform and certain beliefs. So if we know that a person is a member of a party, we're going to assume they have those beliefs. Any others?
Religion.
Yeah, very good. Religion. If I say I was raised Southern Baptist, you might think, okay, I bet I know some things about her. Or if I was raised Catholic, or if I'm Jewish, or if I'm Muslim, it gives you some identifiers for that person. Very good. Religion is one. Any others? Are there, aside from religion and politics and where you work, you do other things, like for fun, or you have commonalities, people, maybe hobbies, yes? Maybe you're a member of a team. Those are group affiliations. I mean, you never know. Maybe you're a member of a sewing circle, I don't know, things can get exciting when you turn, 80, who knows? Or maybe now. But those are all things that are observable from the outside. So when I say age, If I say baby boomer, what do you think of? Older people, yes. What if I say Gen X? Do you even know where that stands? That- huh?
Millennials, right?
No,
Is that right
Gen
after?
X is like my generation.
Oh, yeah.
Millennials came after me, and you guys are what? Gen Z? Okay, and so, my parents are baby boomers, and so they have certain views of millennials, right? And millennials have certain views of baby boomers or people my age. Like during the pandemic, I read an article about how, not to toot my own horn, but how Gen Xers were the best at adapting to the pandemic because we grew up kind of as latchkey kids. We didn't have to be entertained all the time because there were 3 channels. Typically, it kind of grew as we grew up, but there was less stimulation, and you just kind of had to make your own fun. Well, what did you have to do during the pandemic? I mean, there was more to do, but we were better able to be than some other generations. And I'd never thought of it that way, but there are characteristics that are attributed to each age, to each of these things, to genders, to occupations, to socioeconomic classes. Here are the pitfalls of demographics. Okay, and this is the most important thing to remember. When it's marker work, it'd be even more awesome. Pitfalls. There we go. The biggest pitfalls are stereotypes. And here's the thing, we may talk about characteristics of certain demographics. We may say these are attributes, these are good things about them. Here are some of their, sometimes some of their challenges. But the danger is when you make everything negative about when you're talking about a certain demographic. Or you are then making them look inferior. So be careful. You might think, okay, these are some common characteristics, but you don't want to look at them as negative and downgrading a race, a gender, an occupation in describing them. And it's all about your mentality and how you put that into words. So I caution you, I think this is the biggest challenge of all this audience analysis talk, is when you're trying to figure out the demographics of your audience, not making it into something that's bad, but instead finding, there are always exceptions, these are usually the common characteristics of a certain demographic, and trying to appeal to those, not talking down to them, not degrading them. And that can be difficult, because stereotyping is rampant. We do it all the time. But you don't want to do it when you're speaking. And really you don't want to do it ever. But you definitely don't want to do it to your audience because it can become offensive. The second pitfall is ethnocentrism. You can see that. That is thinking that your culture is superior. Now don't get me wrong, patriotism is wonderful. Having pride in any one of these demographics that you're in, being glad that you're 18 years old and not 46, that's fine. But it's a difference between, I love being young and old people suck. Or, I'm glad I'm young and old people have their own thing. But not thinking you're superior. Or as a country, being proud to be American, but not meaning that means other cultures are inferior. Because what that usually results in is that you degrade other cultures. And it's not just the culture of your country, because all of these are cultural characteristics, categories that we fall into. So you want to be careful that you can be as patriotic and as proud of who you are in each of these, or where you live, of your party, of your religion, but that doesn't mean that any other is lesser. That you don't vocalize that. So be careful of demographics in that way. Okay? All right, so those are demographics. Let's talk about psychographic audience analysis. If demographics are on the outside of a person, where a person associates, what they look like, who they are, how they fit into society, what do you think psychographic is? Psycho is
Yeah.
within. What's within? Okay? So there are three areas of psychographic audience analysis. There are attitudes, beliefs, and values. And it's really important that you understand the difference between each one. Because we'll talk about it a lot, especially as we go into persuasive speaking, because you want to appeal to these and know which one you're kind of tapping into. Okay? Attitudes are like opinions. They're the easiest to change. So we're talking like, I like Fridays more than I like Mondays. Or I like Sonic more than McDonald's. I like the beach more than the ocean. It's an opinion, about, and it could be about small stuff or about big stuff, but it's your basic opinion, okay? Beliefs are what you believe to be true or false. So I believe, and this has had some play lately, I believe that masks actually do prevent the spread of germs. Not everybody believes that. It's a truth or not, depending on how you believe, okay? Regardless of what the scientists say or whatever, it's a matter of your opinion if it's true or false. Maybe you believe there is no hell. That's a truth to you. Or you believe in God, or you believe in multiple gods. Maybe you believe life begins at conception. Maybe you believe any kind of greenhouse gases actually affect the climate. That climate change is real or not. Those are beliefs. Values are what you believe to be right or wrong. So I believe polluting the earth is wrong. Or I believe that stealing is wrong. I believe that killing is wrong. Those could be things that you see as right or wrong. But any one topic can go through all three levels of psychographics. So take, for example, the death penalty. Okay? I believe that the death penalty should be legal, let's say. That's an attitude. I believe that not all, that I believe that death penalty is a deterrent. That if we have the death penalty in place, it prevents people from committing murders. Because, right before they shoot, they're like, wait, I could die for this. So they stop. I don't know if it happens. Let's say it did, okay. And then I believe that because killing is wrong, executing is right. Okay, and those are my values. But it takes a topic like that to go through all three. Can you think of another topic that you could have an attitude, a belief, and a value about?
All of politics.
Like what about them? That they're
Like, you could have an opinion on the president, or like how he handles situations.
Okay.
And you can believe what he's doing is, like, what he's doing is true and right, or wrong and
sure.
not good.
Absolutely. Like, let's say, just for the sake of argument, I'm not going to fall on either side of the aisle, but let's say that you believe that the handling of COVID by the Trump administration was poor. That's an attitude. Okay? You believe that there was lying that went on during the handling of the crisis, and that lying is wrong. You see how that can go through each one? Let's take discrimination, for example. Any kind of discrimination. Can you think of how that could go through those three levels? Let's say discrimination in hiring practices. But I just want to hire men, or I just want to hire women. Do you think that's wrong? Right, so it's wrong to discriminate, so there should be fair hiring practices, right? And if I believe fair hiring practices prevent discrimination, then I think that's a truth that I believe that. You see how it goes through each of those levels? Okay? It's just important that you understand the difference between attitudes, beliefs, and values. And here's the thing, any kind of audience analysis is gonna tap into any number of these, because everybody falls into different demographics, and everybody has attitudes, beliefs, and values. The idea is, though, that with an audience, you try to connect in some way to them so that you find some commonalities. Even if you disagree on everything, you can still find some commonalities based on your analysis. Okay? And what you might be thinking to yourself now is, well, hey, if I'm walking into a group of people I don't know, how do I know this stuff about them? Well, the textbook offers one possible solution, which is asking them questions before you ever speak. And it could be live, or it could be that you send out a questionnaire before you get there, you send them something electronically. And there are 3 different types of questions the textbook talks about. And you've all done these before. One is fixed alternative. That's where you say, would you rather go to class in the morning, afternoon, or evening? And you pick one of those. That would be a fixed alternative question. Another is a scale question, like I strongly disagree to I strongly agree, and then you have places in between. Or if you've ever, let's say you've done, like if you do the census, or if you've done any kind of survey, and it's like, are you between 0 and 18, or 19 to 25, or 26 to 32? That would be fixed alternative. Scale would be anywhere where you're telling some variation on an opinion, either far, or you're far left, or would you consider yourself far left, moderate, far right? See the difference? And then the third type of question is open-ended. And that's just where you ask a question and ask them to answer or write in their answer. Okay? All right. Well, we're going to take a look at audience analysis in a way that I think will help make it kind of clear, but also really simplify it for you. Hang on.